Oh, hi everybody. How you doing? You want a balloon? I got some balloons here. These are from the review I did a couple days ago. I was honestly going to use them to see if my Roku Shiki skills were still up to par. You know how that goes, right? Okay, because I am, of course, a Roku Shiki master. Let's practice Shigan here. Shigan! Yes! All right, I still got it. Still got. Whoa! That wave of helium just hits you in the face. Okay, hey everybody, how you doing? I don't need helium to make my voice squeaky. All right, I'll save this one. Okay, hey everybody, how you doing? Teching and Barry back again. Hey Barry, you got yourself an actual desk. You're going up in the world. It brings a tear to my eye. I just need to get you like a little miniature microphone and you'll have the complete set. Okay, so anyway, yeah, today's video is going to be about the Cypher Pole Zero, and the reason I'm talking about them is because I feel like I have made about a dozen videos over the course of the last few weeks talking about Luffy's Devil Fruit and his awakening and the connection with Joy Boy and like the chapters that are involved in that and what the awakening can entail, and I still have some ideas for videos about that. It's just I feel like everybody's talking about that for good reason. Did you read the last chapter? A lot of stuff was going on, and plus we got 2 weeks, the upwards of 2 weeks until the next chapter comes out, so we got a lot more time on the schedule to make videos about Luffy and Joy Boy and his awakening and everything like that, okay? But for right now I wanted to do something different, and so I decided to dedicate an entire video to Cypher Pole Zero Agent Fred, codename Fred because we don't know his real name. But dedicate a whole video to this guy right here because he did his duty, damn it. And it came at a perfect time because I ended up finding my bowler hat yesterday. I didn't think I had one, but no, I found my bowler hat. So I want everybody to pull out your own bowler hats. I'm sure you have one. If you don't, go get one, all right? Go to the bowler hat surplus store, which is conveniently located right down the street from wherever you live in the world, and it's like, go check, you don't know, it might be there. Like, Teching, I live out in the middle of nowhere, I can't, oh wait, there's a bowler hat surplus store right down the street. If I had the ability to warp reality at my whim, that's the kind of stupid shit I would use it for, okay? You know, it's like, all right. But anyway, go get yourself a bowler hat, and then let's give a very somber and dignified to that Cypher Pole Zero agent, okay? For the massive amount of testicular fortitude you have to go up against Kaido and Luffy and interrupt their battle. And then after you do that, you know what's coming next, and you don't run away, you don't beg for your life, you're not even standing there like, you know, this was my duty as a member of the government. None of that, no words, that kind of situation. Like, he knows what he did, he knows he ruined this fight for Kaido, he knew what awaited him afterwards. There's no point in saying anything at that moment. He just takes his hat, he just kind of just like, you know, bows the brim of his hat and is just like, yep, do what you gotta do. He doesn't even say that. He's just like, and that's it. And then Kaido kind of accepted that as just like, boom! And then we're assuming he's dead now, okay? Which means there's only one Cypher Pole Zero agent left. Well, I don't know. Maha might still be alive. Maha was the only one that we actually got a name for. He was the dude that had the tribal mask, and he had to hold it up with, like, the stick, and he fought against Izo, and Izo apparently defeated him. Well, he did defeat him. I don't know if he's dead or not, but Fred is most likely deceased. He's gone for good. But you know what? He deserves his spot on the Cypher Pole Employee of the Month wall. Damn it, put him on March. Absolutely. May I recommend Kaku for April next month? But for right now, bam, put him on March so he could stand with the best of them. Okay. So this actually opened my eyes a lot to the way that Cypher Pole operates and the kind of soldiers that work for them. So a lot of the members of Cypher Pole Zero are former members of Cypher Pole 9. So Lucci, Kaku, Hattori, Spondum, all those guys. And we can assume maybe like Khalifa, Kumadori, Jabra are also members. We just haven't seen them yet, okay? Stussy is also a member. We got introduced to her during Totland. However, there are other members of Cypher Pool Zero that are the masked members. And as Robin stated, these are like the strongest members of Cypher Pool Zero. I like to think maybe they were experimented on a little bit. And even to the point where, because we didn't really get to see much for their personalities. We got to see them during Dressrosa. We got to see Lucci there in silhouette at Dressrosa as well, which, by the way, just a little caveat, there are actually a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there are a few people that were saying that, wait a second, I thought this dude, Fred, I thought this was Lucci. Like, there were some people that were genuinely confused by that. I think because this guy got introduced during Dressrosa, and at the end of Dressrosa, it was revealed that Lucci was a member of Cypher Pool Zero as well. So they just assumed that, you know, like, this guy took off his mask and he was Lucci, or maybe he was Spondum or something, because I think Spondum also wore a bowler hat that was very similar to this dude. So, no, that's not the situation. The situation is that Lucci, we actually saw, was in another location altogether, whether it be at Marijois, or maybe he was on one of the ships that arrived. We don't know, but he was in some sort of fancy office with Stussy and Kaku. And he was the one that actually relayed the orders to capture Nico Robin to Fred, to this dude. So they're definitely not one and the same. But I could see how it could get confusing because they're members of Cypher Pool Zero and they wear masks, and apparently they're really strong. So I know some people actually erroneously assumed that, like, Fred was Rob Lucci. Can you imagine if that was the case, though? Like, wow, Rob Lucci got killed by Kaido in the last chapter. That was insane. But no, somebody else altogether, right? But I always had the implication that, like, okay, they're masked members, maybe they were experimented on to increase their stamina or their strength or their endurance, and they're basically like brainwashed puppets of the world government. Not to the point where they're like pacifistas like Kuma, where they're literally like cyborgs or whatever. Maybe part of them are cyborgs. I mean, they might have a cybernetic arm or something, but not like, you know, removing their brains or anything like that. But they're very much conditioned to obey whatever the Tenryubito order of them. And the reason I assumed that was because, well, just think of the Tenryubito. The Cypher Pool Zero are the shields of the Tenryubito. Aegis Zero. That's what Aegis means. It means shield, I think, in ancient Greek. So the idea is that, like, okay, they're their personal bodyguards. Given how the Tenryubito operate, it would make sense that they would have the most loyal, the most dedicated soldiers to work directly for them. And the Gorosei as well, because remember, the Gorosei are like the highest ranking members of the Tenryubito. So for that reason, their training would be even more intense than the training of the regular Cypher Pool agents. And we even got to see that a little bit with Lucci's backstory. How they're basically all orphans taken from the streets or whatever, and they're taught martial arts and the Rokushiki techniques on that island. And then they're brought in to be members of Cypher Pool, whatever one that they, you know, work with the best. Okay, so in the case with Lucci, he was really talented, so he got put in Cypher Pool 9, just like how Who's Who was a former member of Cypher Pool 9, right? And Jabra and, you know, Kumadori and everybody was put in there as well, okay? And we got to see a little bit of Lucci's backstory. It was expanded a little bit more on in the anime, where there was, I think it was mentioned in the manga, but it was actually shown in the anime, where when Lucci was only 13 years old, he was basically sent to a hostage situation where pirates had invaded this kingdom and taken, like, I think the royal family and a bunch of the citizens as hostage, and they were like, you know, give us the money or whatever, or we'll wipe them out. And Lucci got sent to deal with that situation, and Lucci, you know, being a member of Cypher Pool 9 at that point, sort of Occam's razor, very emotionless, just wiped everybody out. Wiped out the pirates, but also wiped out the royal family and all the civilians, all of the hostages. You know, Lucci's just like, the easiest way to deal with this situation is just to annihilate everybody, so that's what he did. That's also the where he got the scars on his back, the cannonballs that, you know, made the scar shaped like the world government symbol, right? So that's the backstory for Lucci, who was a member of Cypher Pool 9, so you can only imagine what the backstory is for this dude, right? Okay, I imagine they were basically conditioned at a young age to obey whatever the Tenryubito say, without objection, without even care for your own life at that point. But from what we saw in the last few chapters, that is not the case. They were not as conditioned as I thought they were, because they don't want to do this. That guy, Fred, he did not want to go and break up a fight between Luffy and Kaido because he knew he was going to die at the end of it. But he also knows that he's like a professional assassin, and this is his duty, and he had to understand that, like, at some point, given how unreasonable the Tenryubito are, at some point, they would probably give him a task that would be impossible. And can you imagine being a Cypher Pool Zero agent in that regard? Like, you're training your whole life and you're getting stronger and stronger because you know that you're going to deal with the most difficult tasks in the entire world. You know, and like assassination, espionage, going places. Like I can imagine the Gorosei giving orders to the CP0 to like spy on certain Yonko, go to places in the world, in the new world, that are the most dangerous, where if they're found out they would be killed, and they would go ahead and do that because that's their order, that's their deal. You keep getting stronger so you can deal with any situation, but then they give you the impossible task of literally like eliminating Straw Hat Luffy while he's in the middle of a battle with Kaido of the Beasts. Like, you can't win. You can't win. Imagine you go into work tomorrow, wherever you work in the world. I don't know what you do for a living, but imagine you go into work tomorrow and you work hard at your job and you work there for maybe a few years and you rise through the ranks or whatever, maybe you're management or whatever. You go in and your boss is just like, "Hey there, how you doing? Good morning. So today, what I thought that what you should do really, is something a little different." You're like, "Oh, well, what do you want me to do?" I was like, "Well, we have this giant silverback gorilla in the back room, and don't ask where we got it, but we have this giant silverback gorilla." And we were thinking that you were going to go in there and fight it to the death. So, you have a couple of minutes to prepare, but you really need to go out there and get that done. Also, make sure those TPS reports are on my desk by the end of the day. All right, you have a good day, buddy. Just like, what do you do? I guess you would say you quit. It's like, this job isn't worth it. I quit. But the problem is that you can't quit, because if you quit, then you have to fight 2 silverback gorillas to get out of the building, right? Okay, so that's kind of the situation with the Cypher Pool Zero, because they are aware, like, they probably actually, I would imagine the world government even tells them, like, if you ever betray us, not even if you betray us, but if you ever fail at a job, you are a member of Cypher Pool Aegis Zero. That means you have a job to do, and you do it. There is no word for failure in CP0. It doesn't happen, okay? It's either you succeed or you die. And no one will ever question it. We have somebody else that can take your place. That is what it's about, all right? And it's not even quick death either, from what we saw with Who's Who, where he failed to get the Gumu Gumu no Mi, and so he was their prized assassin. He was like on the level of Rob Lucci. He was a member of Cypher Pool 9. They did not care. They threw him in probably the dungeons under the world government headquarters at Marijois or whatever, and they tortured him, and they interrogated him. They might have thought because he let Shanks get the fruit, maybe he was working for Shanks or maybe some other pirate group or something like that. And so they would have eventually killed Who's Who, but not before they make his life a living hell first, okay? So I'm imagining they would, like, tell the Cypher Pool agents, like, this is what awaits you if you fail a task, or if you want to leave the agency, if you decide just to go AWOL or whatever. If we ever catch you, I mean, we'll kill you, but not right away. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process, okay? And you're going to wish for death, all right? And so we certainly saw that with Fred, where his first assignment that was given to him by Lucci, capture Nico Robin. Not eliminate Nico Robin, just capture her, because she's very, very important to the world nobles and the world government in general. Like, she's going to be really relevant because she can read poneglyphs. She's a survivor of Ohara. She needs to be captured, okay? Absolutely, 100%. And so Fred was like, okay, I can do that. That's sort of more reasonable. That's kind of like a normal day at the office. Just like, oh, here's my target, capture my target, get back to the extraction point or whatever, right? Like, that's something that they do probably all the time. But then they didn't expect having to deal with all of the opposition along the way, dealing with the numbers, Drake, Apu, and then Izo showed up and they had to fight Izo. And then on top of all of that, where they were really beaten down, he's like, okay, Maha is defeated. I'm going to go and capture Nico Robin now. And then the other guy, the long-arm dude, contacts Fred, and he's like, actually, turns out you need to eliminate Straw Hat Luffy, and that takes precedence. Like, you have to do that, like, right now. He's like, oh, oh no. No, just like, because, and he starts to argue, and I kind of blew it out of proportion when I did my review, like, well, we don't even get vacation days, like, but really that's kind of what he was doing, because he didn't want to die, and he realized what that would have meant. I think more than anything, though, it's just that, like, despite him being one of their top agents, a masked member of the Cypher Pool Zero for years and years, and all of his training, and he knows he can, in any reasonable circumstance, he can probably deal with a lot of enemies, right? But they gave him a task that was simply impossible, and he knew it was impossible. He knew there was no way he was going to be able to defeat Luffy and drag him in, or not defeat him, kill him, like eliminate him. That was the order they were given, okay? So he understands that, and he goes, and he does his job. Kaido eliminates him after, and then we see the other Cypher Pool member, the only one still remaining on the island, the one that may be a Long Arm Tribe member, and, they just kind of, like, look up at the sky, and they kind of just, like, lower the brim of their hat as well, and it's this moment of, like, wow, they probably actually cared about each other. Something else that I didn't really think that these Cypher Pool Zero agents would have for one another. You kind of got that with CP9 at first, like they didn't really care about each other so much as they were just assassins working in the same group. But during the CP9 Independent Report, which was the cover series, actually did begin to showcase that they did sort of act like a family. They did really care about each other. So this kind of thing is not like unprecedented, right? It's just that we never knew anything about the personalities of Fred or Maha or the other dude, just the other dude. We never knew about their personalities or anything. So therefore, we didn't know if they were kind of like they had that sort of relationship, like that maybe brotherly sort of familial bond with each other. But in that last chapter, you sort of get that. It's sort of like, CP0 agents don't show emotion. They do not cry. It's sort of like the ninja code in Naruto a little bit, right? And so they don't cry or anything. Maybe that's why they wear the masks. Maybe under that mask, the long arm member was beginning to weep for his fallen brother or something like that, right? Something else I wanted to mention, because people have brought this up, and I never really thought about this before, but people have brought up, like, these Cypher Pool Zero agents, the three of them that are at Wano, Maha, Fred, and then this dude, they all look actually very, very similar to the orphans of the Lamb's House, or the Sheep's House, that Mother Caramel led during Elbaf, during the backstory of Big Mom and stuff. And so I went back and I reread those chapters. There's only about 2.5 chapters where we have that flashback. And I'm like, holy shit, they kind of do, right? Okay, so that flashback, first off, took place about 63 years ago, okay? And Big Mom at that time was 5 years old. She just turned 6 during that flashback, okay? Because it was during her birthday that they had the Croquem bush made out of the semla, and she ate all of it, and then she possibly may have indulged in a little bit of cannibalism, just a little bit, not much. And so that's what happened, apparently, right? Now, this is difficult here, because if you go back and look at them, they do look remarkably similar to these Cypher Pool Zero agents. There's an orphan that has like a gas mask on, and the gas mask looks exactly like Maha's tribal mask. There's another member that is a Long Arm Tribe member, who could very easily be the lanky dude in Cypher Pool Zero. And then there's two other people who Fred might be. There's one child that has like a scar on his face, and there is a scar on Fred's mask, so maybe it could be him. But he's like a little bit more heavy set, so maybe he lost some weight over the years after training in Cypher Pool Zero. It's possible. I mean, look at Kobe, right? And then there was also another orphan that was like an exiled prince of a kingdom. And so I guess Fred could also be him as well. And we knew that Mother Caramel was in the operations of selling these orphans to the world government because, as she put it, orphans make really good spies because no one will ask any questions, they don't have any connections, and they're easy to, like, condition to become assassins, cold, bloodthirsty assassins, right? And so that was the situation with Lucci and everybody. So it would make sense, except for the situation with, Big Mom possibly devouring all of them. Now, here's what I'm thinking here. Big Mom definitely ate Mother Caramel. I mean, there's some people out there that are still like, I don't think she did that. I don't think that's what happened. I think it's pretty obvious if you connect all the dots. Like, Big Mom was eating all of the semla and she wasn't paying attention. And then in the next scene, Mother Caramel is gone. We see a part of her, like, Shaw. And then she's like, where did she go? And then all of a sudden, Big Mom, for some reason, has the power of the Soul Fruit. And on top of that, we also have a scene with one of the giants that watched everything go down. And we didn't see what went down as, fans of the story, as readers, but this giant saw what happened, and he went completely pale, and then he went back to Elbaf to tell everybody about what happened. Because Mother Caramel was always a important figure to the giants, because she saved the surviving members of the giant warrior pirates way back in the day, after Dory and Broggy, started their fight on Little Garden. The remaining members were captured by the world government and the Marines and about to be executed. Mother Caramel showed up and stopped that. Later on, we found out even that was a ruse. That was like they were working in collusion with each other there, so that Mother Caramel could sort of become an undercover agent for the Giants, where the Giants would love Mother Caramel for what she did and her kindness, and that's what allowed John Giant to become the first Giant Marine working for the world government. That's crazy, because think about all the different facets involved there that Oda went into, and it was insane when we find out that backstory. But anyway, so I think Big Mom definitely ate Mother Caramel. It happened. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she devoured all the other orphans that were at that table, right? What is possible, what might have happened was that maybe when Big Mom began to, like, devour the table and, like, eat everything around her, maybe she ate a few of them. Maybe she ate a few of the orphans. But when it was beginning to look like, okay, this, monster cannot be stopped, Mother Caramel maybe used her abilities of the Soul Fruit, and maybe it was like, because Mother Caramel had her own homies, maybe she created, like, homies of, like, clouds or something, and, like, she turned the wind into a homie, which is possible, and then she used that power to, like, get the other orphans off of the island, or something like that, right? Maybe a situation where Mother Caramel did not really care for the orphans as a mother, but she cared for them as valuable products for the government, right? So she's like, I have to make sure, they survive. And so Big Mom's, like, eating her croquembouche, like, croquembouche, semla, so good, yum, yum, and then starts to eat the table, and Mother Caramel's like, get back, everybody! And then she created the North Wind or something like that into a homie, and she, like, whisked all the other members, all the other orphans away, and then Mother Caramel's like, okay, now I need to create one so I can get out of here. Oh, no! Boom! And then she got devoured by Big Mom. So some of the orphans might have made it out, but Mother Caramel definitely had to be devoured, and maybe a few of the other orphans as well. And so the giant that witnessed that was like, oh my god, she ate Mother Caramel, the savior of the giants. And then he went back and told everybody on Elbaf, and then that's why everyone hates Mother Caramel. And what happened to the other orphans? Well, maybe the wind, blew them away to where the Cypher Pole Zero ship was at the moment, and they got recruited, and they became members of Cypher Pole Zero. That's the best I could say, okay? And I think that's the best way to really handle it, where it's like, yes, Mother Caramel definitely got devoured by Big Mom, and that's where the Soul powers comes from, but the other ones did manage to get away, because everything lines up perfectly for that. Their designs back when they were kids match up with their designs now when they're Cypher Pole Zero agents. The timeline matches up. They would be like in their 60s, like late 60s, which makes sense. If you're like a Cypher Pole Zero agent, you're like a masked agent. Maybe once again you've been like experimented on or whatever to increase your strength and endurance or whatever. So it's like you're not physically like in your late 60s. You're more like surgically modified or whatever. Could be something like that. And also it was the fact that Mother Caramel was the Mountain Witch, was her title, that was like, selling these children off to the world government to be used as assassins. Everything lines up. It all makes sense to me. So, that's how that goes. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. Just like, what do you think about the Cypher Pool Zero agents and their relationship with one another? And what's going to happen with the last remaining member, the Long Arm Tribe member? Is he just going to leave? Is he going to stand his ground? Is he going to get involved in the fight as well? Let me know. Maha's not probably dead, but maybe he'll just go to try to grab Maha and then just get out of dodge. Might be a situation like that. Well, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, everybody. This is Tekking signing out, but wait, it isn't, because we still have to do frog facts.
Tekking. Frog facts. Frog facts. Frog facts. Frog facts.
Okay, so last time on Frog Facts, we talked about the smallest frog species in the world, actually the smallest vertebrate in the entire world, which was, of course, the, I forgot its name. Oh, wait, hold on. Still have it written down here. Okay. Paedophren ameyuensis. Yeah, exactly. Okay, smallest frog species in the world. So now, of course, we have to talk about the largest frog species in the world. Absolutely, okay? So that is, of course, and I kind of knew the word Goliath was going to be in there because the largest animal species, like the largest spider, I think is the Goliath bird-eater spider, okay? So Goliath appears in a lot of these names of these animals, and so we have the Goliath frog. And that's a big frog right there. Ribbit. Actually, it doesn't go ribbit, and it doesn't even go croak, because they have no vocal sac. So despite being the largest frog, they actually don't have a means of, calling or doing a mating call or ritual or anything like that. Well, they have mating rituals, but they don't have the calls that they do, okay? So that's rather interesting. Now, unlike the frog species, whatever. I was like, I forgot the name again. That lived in Papua New Guinea and was rather abundant there. It was not endangered. It was like least concern there. The Goliath frog does have some endangered status. It is endangered species, and it can only be found in a very small region of Central Africa, along the border of Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. Okay, and that's the only place you can find these frogs in the world. They can grow up to 32 centimeters of length, and they can grow up to upwards of 3.25 kilograms, or up to 7 pounds of frog, okay? So that's a huge frog. So to compare that, the smallest frog was 7.7 millimeters in length, and this frog is 32 centimeters in length, so 10 millimeters to a centimeter, obviously. So that's like basically comparing 7.7 to 320. So that's like the size difference there. You can figure out the multiplication of, how much bigger the Goliath frog is, but pretty big difference there. They are endangered a little bit because of habitat destruction, but not only because of that, it's because the people that live around that area of Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea actually use them for food. They're just, hunted for food in that region of Africa, so for that reason, they are dropped significantly in terms of their numbers, and they are endangered. They're also, because of just the novelty of them being such a big frog species, a lot of people want them to be pets, so a lot of these animals are exported out of this region of Africa to be pets for people in the world. They don't make great pets because they're typically very shy and nervous, and, there's some that are in, like, zoos that are kept in, like, habitats that are more indicative of where they come from, but in terms of like an actual pet like in your room, probably not the best for that, and so they've actually dropped the number of the ones that they export out of this region. They can live up to 15 years in the wild and up to 21 years in captivity, so they have a relatively long lifespan there. They have no vocal sac, as I said, but because of their size, when they are making their nests for their young, for the tadpoles and everything, they actually have a lot more muscle to work with, so they'll actually build their nests out of things that other frog species just can't, like stones and things. So they can actually take these. Giant Goliath frog is like, time to build my house. Ugh! Lifts up a giant rock and is like, okay, now we're going to build this house, so they can have a little bit more of a structural, structurally strong nest because of that reason, right? And, yeah, that's the Goliath frog, largest frog in the world, pretty cool, but they are an endangered species, so I hope they can make it. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking and Barry signing out. Later, everyone.